Welcome on in. Thought I would do a State of the Union for Underdark. So, DOSEMBER, besides just playing DOS games, I wanted to write a DOS game. So, I went back to the well. My experience with roguelikes is more than my other stuff for DOS. So I thought, hey, let's do a roguelike from scratch. So I spent all of December busting out all new code for a DOS roguelike. Did I succeed? Not quite. We're nearly there, like 99% of the way there. Most of the mechanisms are in place, but we didn't cross the finish line. So we're basically lacking content. So when you boot things up, it generates a random character. So we have a null hunter. The only way to reroll your character is to quit and run it again. Now we have an orc barbarian. There's no save games, so you don't get the option to restore. We'll see that later. High score table. You can view the high scores. Top 10 from here. If you die and you're further down the list, you'll see where you are within, I think, the top 25. But for now, from the main menu, you only get top 10. Read the news. This is basically the changelog, and the changelog doesn't exist because this is the first version. Now, however, I say in here what's changed since 0.1.13. I wrote a roguelike with the same name back in the late 90s. I've reused the name, but I've not reused any of the code. So yeah, just the same name. We also have from the main menu, keyboard configuration. I have a mechanical keyboard that doesn't have a numpad. I've configured it to use page up and down and home and end. That maps to the numpad, so you can go in all 8 directions. That all works fine. You can rebind that to WASD, whatever. Other keys, we have just the basic stuff: inventory, ascend, descend, open and close for doors, pick up, target, fire, loadouts, quit and save. You can rebind all these to whatever. If you rebind to one that exists, that will blank that out and you'll get a warning. So if we rebind version to past turn is now noted as none. And if I quit, it tells you, hey, you need to go back and configure some keys. There might be something important there that you want. So let me rebind version to what I want and rebind past turn. There we go. And you can save your configuration from here too. When you can quit. So let's start a game as an orc barbarian. This will be a good example. So generate random level. Inventory screen. A lot of things happen from the inventory screen. On the right side, we have our character info, hit points, mana, attributes, skills. Attributes and skills are all out of 10, and so is your level, which you don't really see. And then on the left side, we have items. And this is a general use menu. If you want to drink a potion, you come into the inventory, you hit the key associated, like D or E, you'll drink that potion. Is it a weapon? You'll wield it or unwield it. So if we can toggle. torch. So I'm hitting A, but you only have 2 hands. So we can swap loadout. So I can toggle my loadouts. So on my second loadout, I'll have a torch and an axe. So let's swap back. I've got 2 axes. So let's leave this one. And so this is my little test stairs. So when I release this, you won't have a stairs down in the first room. And the first room exists just as a safe zone. We have a closed door. The monsters won't come in past here unless the door is open. Then it's fair game. So you can see not many squares light up around our character. So I'm going to toggle my loadout, which will trigger us holding the torch, and the torch has a limited number of moves. And the field of vision will increase with the torch. So there you go, it just jumped up. So, like I said, it has a limited number of moves, so I'll hold past turn down, and you'll see our field of vision decrease when the torch goes out. And anytime now. Torch has gone out, and our field of vision shrank, and the cells around us got darker. And you'll see the item A, the torch, is no longer in our inventory. Let's toggle my loadout back to my dual weapons. And, oh, there's some money. We'll get that. So right now we're going to run into some rats on level 1. They're hiding. And they will chase you. And this is going to be the time where they're all like clustered in another part of the map. Of course. There we go. There's one. And double axe. And if you'll note, the axes have +1. So I got basically a +2 bonus against rats. So that was not a bad hit. And we can, let's get back in here. So you can descend, and the game will save your current level, generate a new random level. You can ascend the stairs, and only the first time will it generate. And it only has 1 level in memory at a time, so it saves and loads each level as you go. And if I save that, it'll quit out. It's a roguelike. You only get basically Iron Man mode. So we fire that back up. We now have an option: continue save game or start a new game. Let's find a wizard. A wizard is another elf wizard. There we go. Let's start this as an elf wizard. So the barbarian was bump combat. Elf wizards, you'll see here, we have a wand of missiles in our inventory, and that triggers off our mana. So you power any magical item you power with mana points, but it's a ranged item. So what we want to do, the elf is good because they have a greater dark vision than anyone else. So let's go find a target, and as soon as we can find one in our space, so you can hit T to toggle target, and then it'll rotate through all enemies on the map and then to yourself. And look, now I'm not going to be able to find anyone. Now let's get the money. Come on, where's an enemy? There we go. So if I hit T, you'll see the rat gets highlighted. I can toggle rat, me, none. So we've cycled through the list. If I hit F to fire, it's going to cost mana points. So you'll see the mana go down. And we just fired our wand. And the wand doesn't have charges because it's based off off your mana points. So when the mana goes down, you can no longer fire the wand, whatever its minimum cost requirement is, which I think is 2. You have to come in here and hit up a potion of mana refill or find some scroll. And there will be other spells as well, but you only start with a wand of missiles, which is like just a magic missile. And being a magic missile spell, it ignores armor, which is nice. Not that rats really have much armor. What else did I want to go over? So you can change levels, you can save, you can load, inventory. Oh, so also on this screen is if you level up, this is the screen that will also tell you, hey, you have points to spend, and you can then pick an attribute or a skill and trade that up, or trade that skill in for extra life or mana and burn a skill point. So the inventory screen is a fairly generic general use screen. Instead of having Q to quaff potion, E to eat ration, and a whole manner of just archaic keyboard commands. But if you want to heal, like, you can also target yourself. So that's handy. And you can shoot yourself. So you can commit suicide. I've commented it out for the moment. I have to drop that back in. We go back in and check the high score. It didn't record my death because I was debugging that right now. UDX. We're back as a barbarian. All right, let's run in. Let's do a little quick kill or two. All right, we killed someone. That'll give us points. And if we quit, here's our rip. We had 64 points. We rage quit on level 1. And there we go. There is our high score, which we beat the default. The default high score I have in there is 10 points. So yeah. And if we just fire it back up, high score table, we'll see that we're there. So there we go. State of the Union. Goals. So I'd say I got fairly close, but obviously I didn't succeed in completing the game by the end of December. But everything else is there. So I guess now I just want to polish it up. I need content. You can generate the stack of the game. There's 10 levels to the dungeon, and each level increases by size slightly each time to the maximum that it will run at. They're all cellular automata generated, so they're sort of organic. But I need to throw in a couple more spell effects and then fill it out with some monsters and gear. So not a lot of work to do, really. But yeah, I want to polish it up before I release it and stick it out on GitHub. It actually does a lot underneath. There is a lot of going on, a lot of checking. You know, every time you equip or unequip an item, you know, it recalculates what's your field of vision size. Every time you take a step, it triggers everything in your inventory. You know, are you carrying a torch? The torch has a counter, decrements and gets deleted. Everything has attributes. So you see the axe has +1 against rats. So when you're in combat, you hit the rat. It goes through and it iterates over all these attributes and checks. Oh, I have a bonus against this type of enemy. so on and so forth. So there's a lot of checking underneath. So it runs slower than I would like. Works perfectly fine on a 386, 486. I originally struck the target as an XT. If I emulate an XT and we move, I'm going to hit the key now. Like we're talking seconds between movement. It's hitting key now. So it's just too slow for XT. Even at 286 at 12, it's workable, but it's too slow. I'd get annoyed with this too quickly. So if I hit up 386, 33, that's perfectly fine. There's still a fraction of lag, and I don't know how true DOSBox is to a real 33 megahertz 386. So the target, I'm going to make the target 386. So it just is what it is. Fact of life. And hey, everyone has DOSBox, so no one should be able to say, I can't play it. So it's all good. So yeah, State of the Union. There we go. So I'm going to polish it up, and hopefully sometime in January we'll see a release. And then I think after that, the goal I would like to do is convert it over to SDL. I think my previous roguelike, I did an ASCII emulation inside SDL. So I have a bunch of framework for doing that. The only thing I need to convert is the screen output routine, and I should have a working SDL version at that point. It'll still look like ASCII. Let me see if I can fire that one up in the background so people can see roughly what that would look like. Okay, apparently it's already recording. So the screen's kind of cut off because it exists outside the bounds of my capture. Now it's not going to be like this. This was a real-time roguelike that I wrote. Let's just leave. Let's see, is that even on my capture window? Yeah, it is. Okay. You'll notice similarities. I have an aesthetic that I like with the messages, the title bars. Resize a bit more. There we go. So this is, yeah, it's a bit more real time. Oh, they're behind me. And they won't let you back into the city. So that was cracks and crevices. But I have a SDL framework to wrap that in. So maybe a future goal this year will be to wrap that in SDL and get a cross-platform Linux Windows version going. There you go.